Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be joining us today, this evening, or the afternoon. I just said that bit. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, where today we are going to be talking positively about the result against Bournemouth. Hopefully positively, anyway. Knowingly, you'll probably find something to moan about. But we shall see. Joining us this evening, it gives me great pleasure to welcome Danny from a Bergkamp Wonderland AFC podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thanks. You?
Very well, thank you, mate. Very well. Debut show.
Yeah.
And another debut this evening for Harry from Sofa Sports News. Harry, good evening, and how are you, sir?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. We've got a wedding to go to at the weekend, so I'm glad I'm out of the house at the moment because the old wife's stressing out, you know. You know how the old chicks be. Coming to that. Judge! The court is in session. How are you, sir? How are you?
Oh, I'm all good. I've had a bit of a tough week, really, if I'll be honest. I've had a little bit of a cold.
Oh,
yeah, I know, yeah. You know, so went to the cricket yesterday at the Oval. A little bit of hospitality up there.
VIP?
Bit of VIP, bit of hospitality up there. Very nice, very nice. Roast beef and then all the veg, all very nice.
How does he do it? If anyone knows how he does it, please.
Yeah, nice. And I tell you what they do. They let you on the pitch, Craig.
I saw that. I saw your video.
Yeah, they let you on the pitch, have a walk around, and we're sitting on the, because when you're VIP, Craig, you're allowed to go wherever you want, you know. So we had a little walk around the balcony, and one of the players comes over and starts talking to us, you know, and saying about, would you get that at the Emirates? The player come over and say, well, what do you reckon of the game and all that, like, you know. It's a different world, cricket, different world.
Not unless they want you to sit down and shut up.
Yeah. So, he was telling us how in different form they've been in this year and whatever, you know, completely different world. You can wake up now, son. You know, we can go. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
You were going on about cricket again.
No.
So very, very nicely, very nice. I did see the video of you walking on the pitch. It was very good, very, very good.
Yeah, didn't comment about it.
It's very nice that they do that.
Yeah.
Very nice indeed. Okay, let's crack on. Let's talk about the Bournemouth game, Danny. A positive result, a positive performance, but I think people are getting a little bit carried away, mate, don't you? Going through Twitter after the game, people said, "Oh, we won. Yes, that's it. This is the start of the." You know, let's not forget Bournemouth were very poor, and I didn't think they gave us much opposition to be fair. But I've got to give credit to the players. I've got to give credit to the boys. They played well. We looked organised for once. And who would have thought that a left wing back playing wing back would play that well?
That's shocking, isn't it? I think the manager needs to be fired. Playing the right positions with the right players is something I've never thought I'd see again. But well done to the lads, because they beat a team that have played 4 Premier League games, or played 3, and they'd lost them all, and they'd scored 1 goal. Let's hope we can play them and Palace every week, and then you never know, we might actually get somewhere in the league. Bournemouth, they were a half-decent team. I thought if they didn't have Begovic in goal, we could have had about 6 or 7 against them, because we have 17 shots on goal, or 20, or some number like that. But they came to, when I only saw the highlights, I thought, I'm not getting out of bed to watch this. And no, actually, it wasn't on TV, was it? I'd have had to watch one of them mucky stream things, then it always ends up me in trouble. But they didn't really come to attack much, did they? They had a pensioner up front, and they had King behind him, and then they had, 7 or 8 players in midfield, and they were all crowding around the goal like it was like they were bees round honey. Yeah, but like you say, you can only go out there and beat what's in front of you. But you know you're a shit team when Welbeck has a good game against you. Man of the match, 10 assists, 2 goals. Yeah, and so it's nice to see. Personally, I'd rather Lacazette would have got more goals. But Ozil, I mean, when Ozil gets, where is it? I'm just looking on here. Got an Opta rating of 7.5. When you get 7.5 against one of the worst teams in the league, you know it's time to pack your boots up and give up, and then play Ramsey in that position.
Oh.
Nice to see we still got left back at centre back, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was nice. It was. I thought Klosnak was an absolute beast.
I love him.
I love him and all. Lee's nicknamed him the Tank, or the BFB as I call him, the big fucking Bosnian.
I think your one's better, to be honest.
Do you think so?
Yeah, but we've got.
It's not very original, though, is it? Because we had the BFG. But now he's the BF. Now we've got the BFB, so he's taken over Mertesacker's role there for me. Harry, welcome to the show, mate. A pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Your take on the game, mate? What was your take on the game?
To be honest, I thought it was the perfect fixture for Arsenal, given the recent form. It was the perfect fixture, playing a team out of form, probably one of the only teams that were in worse form than ourselves. Bournemouth are the kind of team that on their day, they're going to play football against you, and they can be difficult to stop. But in all fairness, they don't pose the kind of problems that we usually struggle to deal with, i.e. the physical aspect of the game. And so I felt, it was, like I said, it was a good fixture. The performance was good, but it wasn't great. I didn't sit there and think this was a brilliant performance. We grabbed a couple of goals in the first half, and ultimately the game was over within half an hour or so. But, it was, the atmosphere was flat again. I just felt like, and I actually was a bit bored during the second half. I'm not going to lie.
A bit bored, yeah. I've been pretty bored. I don't get to go very often, but when I do go, yeah, I've got to agree with you. It's not very, it's not very electric, is it, at the Emirates?
No, it's not. And I don't know if any of you guys heard about the red marks on everybody's clothes. Have you heard about that incident?
No.
So, coming out of the stadium, walking back to the car, a kind gentleman kindly pointed to me and said to me, "You've got a red patch on your arse, mate." So I turned around and I had a look, and I had a massive red patch on my jeans. And then it came to light later on that a load of people in blocks 5 and 6 had red patches all over their clothes. And it turns out that Arsenal had sprayed the seats with something in order to repaint them or whatever they did over the summer. And people were walking around with red stains on their asses.
Okay. So what are they going to do about it? Do they apologise, or are they going to give you new shirts?
Well, they've apologised about it, and apparently they're going to look into it, and there's a chance they may, reimburse people for their dry cleaning or whatever. Not like, it's not even worth the bother, to be honest.
Yeah, so basically they're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, basically.
An old apology. Oh, sorry about that.
I'm going to go and check my jeans.
Yeah,
check them, because honestly, I was wearing a grey pair of jeans and I got home and my arse was redder than a baboon's. I looked ridiculous.
Well, the Red Arse Brigade, eh?
Oh dear, I thought
you were saying they were.
It can only happen.
They were marking people on purpose or something. But no, the paint on the seats, so they can't even do that right.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Probably, I'd say they could have gone to B&Q to get it, but I bet they went to.
So they've probably got some cheap bloke in.
Yeah, they probably went home based, didn't they? Yeah, cheap stuff. That's right. Judge, you were there, as you always are, sir. What did you make of things?
Well, to be honest, before the game, I will say this: everybody going to the pubs and all that was sort of saying that it's going to be a real tough game. We're going to draw. No one was really that full of that much confidence. And to be honest, I thought we breezed it. I think it was a real good performance. I thought some of the football was really good. We opened them up on a few occasions. But I think the key thing was, and I don't know if the guys agree with this, that we've played a lot of games like that and missed chances. And what happened was that Lacazette got that shot. Well, it was a half chance, really. I think if it would have fallen to Welbeck or somebody else, it would have hit me on the head. But he puts it in with a great finish, and we're 2-0 up then, and the game was sort of over. But I've seen us so many times in be in that sort of position, miss a few chances, and then one attack, we're 1-1 and the pressure's on. So I think we've got to take the positives. We took our chances, I agree a little bit with Danny there. Danny Welbeck did have a very good game, but he's had to be honest, he's had a couple of good games, to be honest. He's had, I said, but not the other word, he's had a couple of good games. He's had a couple he's had a couple of good games, but he doesn't take those chances. And I'm in the cup final, I thought he terrorised and wore down the Chelsea defence and could have had a couple of goals that day, So his finishing is absolutely woeful, if I'll be honest. Even in the game against Liverpool, had a very good chance in that first couple of minutes, and he put it, halfway up the cop, didn't he? But I have to say, you can only beat what's in front of you, and I thought we I don't know, people say it's only Bournemouth, but I've seen us lose to Watford last season, being 2-0 down after 20 minutes of teams. and I've seen us lose to Swansea at home. So I'm going to take the positives from it and say that, you know, it was a good performance. Let's move on. More big tests coming, and certainly, like, you know, there's one on the horizon on Sunday.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely, the big one of the big ones on Sunday. Danny, I just want to keep on the subject of Danny Welbeck. Actually, I thought Danny Welbeck and Lacazette played really well together on Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah.
And Ozil in behind there, pulling a few strings. I thought them three done really well.
Well, it isn't going to last, is it? Because Sanchez will be back for the Chelsea game, and then he'll be back with our furthest man back going for the ball, and then our furthest forward player catching the ball, and then it'll be our player that runs the most and does the least. I mean, I'm a big fan of Sanchez. I don't like anyone giving any grief. And for 3 seasons, I've been a massive fan of Ozil. He's got more skill, more talent than any other player at that club, and that has been at that club for years. But he just seems so bored and so lazy. I mean, did anybody see the? I don't watch international football, but apparently for Germany in last week, he got man of the match and played his arse off, and he was actually tracking back and doing tackles. So maybe Wenger says to him, "I don't want you back there," but it's going to be no good having Mesut playing there if he can't be bothered. He's not signing his new contract. He doesn't want to be at the club. Well, so far he hasn't signed it, and quite frankly, I wouldn't be bothered if he doesn't sign it, because for the first few seasons we were going, "Oh, he's getting loads of assists, but he's not getting the goals." Last season, got all the loads of goals, didn't get enough assists. And you got to think, what does the player actually want from the club? I know it's with people compare him to Bergkamp because he's a similar kind of player where he's 1 yard ahead of everybody else and he hasn't got the players playing around him. But if he can see someone like Welbeck playing next to him who hasn't got a quarter of the talent that he's got, and Welbeck runs his arse off, he's trying to do everything that he can. He's doing the passing, the assisting, he's scoring goals. And Welbeck has just showed that if you just carry on and you apply yourself to what job you're given and don't start bitching and whining when you're playing in the position you don't want to be playing in, that you will actually eventually get a chance, which is what I think Wilshere has seen as well. And hopefully Wilshere will come back and do the same job, but just not up front.
He's going to get, I mean, talking about that, I mean, rumour has it he's going to start tomorrow.
Oh, I hope he does. I love Jack Wilshere.
I mean, the reception he's going to get tomorrow should be absolutely, you know, in my opinion, when his name's read out, he should get, you know, the loudest roar, the loudest noise of the night, if you want. I can't wait to see Jack Wilshere back in an Arsenal shirt. I cannot wait.
He's like the modern day Tony Adams. He has so much passion and he gives a fuck about it. Do we swear on here? I'm not sure.
Yeah, of course you can, mate.
Yeah. Just you're not allowed to swear.
No, I'm not allowed to swear. I can't say fuck or bugger.
But when Jack comes out on that pitch, and hopefully people give him 5 or 6 games to get back into being the Jack that we all want. But Jack isn't a 10. Jack should never wear that number 10 shirt. Jack is a central midfielder who gets the ball off the defenders, does a bit of tackling, bit of passing, maybe scores the odd goal and gives it to somebody else to do the flashy stuff. Yeah. But we've just got to hope that Jack realises, don't get the ball and hold on to it and keep running with it, because you know some prick is going to come in and try and murder you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't really want to disagree with you guys so early on my debut. I'm sorry, but I have to do this. I have to come in here. Jack Wilshere for me he's got bags and bags of potential. Yeah, I get it. But he's never really done it. And you know what? He can't stay fit. And I know that's a big part of his problems. But there's been so many players over the years that have failed to actually establish themselves at a top club because they can't stay fit. Now, for me, part of being a great player is staying fit. And I know he's been a bit unfortunate with injuries, but I just don't understand all of the hype around Jack Wilshere because he's not ever really done it for a sustained period of time. And I actually feel like some players like Wilshere, like Ramsey at times, these are the players that Wenger's perhaps shown too much faith in over the last few years. And that's part of the reason why we've stagnated, because these players, in my opinion, the Ramseys, the Wilsheres, Gibbs has gone now, but he was another one of them. They're not going to ever push on to that next level. And because we're sentimental and we love Jack Wilshere, you know, he's an English lad playing for Arsenal. He's come through and we all love him. I just think, you know, we let our sentiment get in the way of who's actually best for Arsenal sometimes.
Yeah. And take your point. I take your point. But my way of looking at it is, you know, what you said there. Jack Wilshere has been unfortunate with injuries. You know, he hasn't asked to get injured. And I probably would agree with you to say that he probably hasn't been as good as we've all wanted him to be or all expected him to be. But what I'm talking about is now and tomorrow. What I'm talking about is Jack Wilshere can come back into that team now, knowing that the things that are going on and, you know, the things surrounding the club at the moment, Jack Wilshere can come back in there. And like Danny says, a bit of modern day Tony Adams, you know, a bit of come on, bit of togetherness, a bit of...
But he does it for England, didn't he? Didn't he get 5 man of the matches in a row for England? So he has shown that he can do it. And his injuries are not his fault. It's because he gets stupid tackles.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. But I just think Jack Wilshere tomorrow can send out a massive breath of fresh air. Does that make sense, Harry?
Yeah, I think it's a lift the fans need. I agree.
He's still young enough. I think he's still young enough. And I still believe he's got the talent to go on, even now, and be an Arsenal great. I really do. That's how much, and it's not just because I'm a Jack Wilshere fanboy. I just believe he can do it. I really do. I really still believe he has got a part to play at this club.
Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Jack Wilshere break back into the Arsenal team and take the Premier League by storm. I just feel that it's a bit of a risk. It's a risk to put your eggs in one basket. It's a risk to put your eggs in Jack Wilshere's basket because he's so fragile. And, you know, you can't really build a team around someone that you probably won't be fit for half of the season. And look, I love him. I want him to do well. That thing he done at the parade, you know, that put him up in my books even more. I love him. But I just worry that we're relying on the kind of players that can't give us the continuity that we need.
Absolutely, mate, and it's a very valid point because, you know, I think there's players in that squad now who we expected to be, you know, expected to be great, and perhaps are not as great as they turned out to be. And like Danny says, and like people who watch the podcast know that, or listen and watch the podcast know that I can be Mesut Ozil's biggest critic, but I have to take a slice of humble pie and say that he played well against Bournemouth. He did play well against Bournemouth. He had a great game. He pulled a lot of strings, and he looked up for it. But then I need him to do that Sunday as well. I need Mesut Ozil to be great, and I know he's not going to be. I can sit here now and tell you I know he's not going to be great because he's going to get roughed up. He's going to take too much time on a ball, and I'm going to be on his back again. Until we play someone like Brighton again, when he'll get the ball and then he'll be absolutely fantastic. You know, because the Brighton players are making him look bad, making him look great. So, don't get me wrong, to have Mesut Ozil playing for Arsenal is amazing. And people watching the podcast will start tweeting me all statistics now, like they did the last time. He's made these assists, he's made these assists, he's made these assists. It's not his fault that no one can put the ball in the back of the net. Very valid point. But I still think Mesut Ozil he's not the Mesut Ozil I saw playing at Real Madrid anyway. Lee, Harry brings up a very valid point, mate, about Jack Wilshere. It's very valid and something.
I think it is valid, and I'll tell you why it's valid, because I think, say like Aaron Ramsey. He's a player that I feel now is just starting to come back to his best. And you watch what you wait, he'll get injured in a week's time or so, and then it all drops again. You know, with Mesut Ozil, to be fair to him, 80% of the time is always available. You know, and the world class players, I take that on board. You know, when does Ronaldo get injured? When does Messi get injured? You know, like they're not out that much. Now going back to Wilshere, I think the Wilshere now is a different player to what he was when he was 19. Do you remember that season, when that first season he had? He was unbelievable. I thought, my God, you know, this is a player that we've dreamed about for a long, long while. And I do think there is that little infinity to a player when he's one of your own, like, you know, that's come through the ranks. I do like those sort of players, you know.
Like Harry Kane.
Yeah, Harry. Listen, Spurs have got 3 or 4 of them come through their ranks at the moment, and you know, I do think it gives you a special bond. It's not happened for us. I'd love to see it happen Kieran Gibbs. But as Harry says, you know, I mean, Kieran Gibbs, I thought was going to be a very, very good left back, but always, you know, glass ankles. You know, and it's a common trait with the Arsenal sort of players, isn't it? You know, you can go through them all. Ramsey, Wilshere, you know, and I tend to agree with what Danny says there. It's not like he gets hamstring injuries and he's out for 6 or 7 weeks. He's had, I remember that. Do you know what that tackle against Man United in the Man? It was a terrible tackle, that, you know, but I don't see that being highlighted, that tackle like Marnie's one has been this week. You know, just say, it's Jack Wilshere, ain't that bad. You know what I mean? That was a terrible tackle on him that day. It was late. You know, in the context of the game now, that would have been a sending off, but nothing sort of said. And he's had a couple of unlucky ones as well. But I really do think, you know, I think for the moment, it's just Wilshere. Just get him 90 minutes tomorrow. Have a rest against Chelsea, then come back against Doncaster next week, and then he'll be ready to see what he can do. But you know, I just think it's just good to have him about as a good squad player this season. Hopefully, shows his fitness, and towards the end of the season, starts building it up, and we can see the real Jack Wilshere. But I agree with Harry. Don't put all our eggs in one basket and rely too much on that. See what happens. Give him our support. He'll get great reception tomorrow, I'm sure. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him, you know, turn it around. I really would.
No, I do agree with Harry. I do agree.
It's a good point. It is a good point.
Yeah, I agree with him I agree with him to a degree about it being sentiment, and you know, it's Jack Wilshere. He's English. He's grown up with Arsenal. But what I will say about that is, I still believe that he can. I still believe he's got a big role to play. Danny, let's come back to you, mate. Let's talk about. I want to talk about the formation. A lot of people thought that perhaps Arsene Wenger was going to go back to the old 4-2-3-1, but he stuck out. He stuck with his. He stuck with the formation. A lot of people thought he might change it after getting hammered by Liverpool. Koscielny played well. Nacho Monreal played well for me as well. Xhaka and Ramsey, Danny. I thought they played really well together at the weekend. Again, it was Bournemouth, you know, where they're giving them too much space. But I think Ramsey played with a bit more discipline at the weekend. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he did. But I was talking to Jason, and he's a proud Welshman, and he was saying that we were trying to figure out what formation we need to try and get the best out of Arsenal. And he said, we all said, why can't we play Ramsey? Why is Ramsey so good for Wales, but then he's not always that good for Arsenal? And he said, what you need to do, you need to have a defender, and then you need a defensive midfielder, which could be like Coquelin or any of those players like that, and then you need someone like Xhaka to get the ball off of people and pass it around. Then you get Ramsey's one that breaks from midfield. So then we need to play three in the middle. So that'd be a kind of a 3-5-2 formation with Lacazette or Giroud up front, and then with one of either Ozil, Sanchez, or Welbeck playing behind him. Not like the old days where people think we used to play 4-4-2 with Bergkamp and Wrighty. It wasn't. Wrighty was up front, Bergkamp played behind him, and Bergkamp covered around all over the pitch. And that's the way world-class players like that, like Sanchez and Ozil, can be on their day, and Welbeck is against bottom of the league teams who haven't won a game all season. But to get the best out of Ramsey, he's got to have freedom, because even when we were playing him out on the right last season, he kept cutting into the centre of the park, and no one wants to see him do that. No one wants to see him playing out wide. It needs to be, ideally for him, he wants to be the kind of player that plays behind the main striker, and I don't think Wenger's ever going to do that, because I think we all have probably agreed that if you're going to play a left back or left wing back, it's going to be Kolasinac all day long, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
Wenger loves Monreal, and I think he feels that he owes Monreal something. So he shipped out Gibbs. So Monreal, if we go back to playing 4 at the back or 5 at the back or anything like that, Kolasinac is going to have to be the main left back. So that's why he's playing Monreal at centre back. And as much as I like Monreal, I want a centre back to be 6'4", and when you kick the ball at him during a free kick, he's going to stand there and go, "Come on, him. Kick it wherever you fucking want, because I ain't moving. Not cower out the way like that and be pushed off the ball. Now, we've seen that when the likes of Koscielny and Mustafi, and for me, Per should be playing every game for us when he can. Put Per in the dead centre and have Mustafi to the right, Koscielny to the left, and that is 3 proper central defenders, and then the other 2 can move around him, and Per to stay in the middle, because he's getting old, he's getting slow, but mentally he's a yard ahead of everybody else. But to get the best out of Ramsey, we need to play 3 in midfield and free him up a little bit.
Lovely. Harry, what would you say if I said, Xhaka Ramsey, this Xhaka Ramsey partnership? Could you see it blossoming, or are you with Danny? Aaron Ramsey.
I'm sceptical of it, and I've said it on our podcast a number of times now. I like them both as individual players, but I just feel like Aaron Ramsey is crying out to be a number 10. He wants to play as a number 10. He wants that free role. He wants to be able to break forward at will and not worry about what's behind him. Now, I don't think the problem is Xhaka and Ramsey. I think the actual problem is Ramsey and Ozil. I don't think you can have both of those 2 in your side. I think they both want to have a free role. None of them want to do any defensive work. And Xhaka is becoming a scapegoat, just like Mikel Arteta was before him, being the centre midfielder that's constantly exposed on his own, left there to fend for himself. A couple of things about the formation. So there's that issue. Danny's point about Monreal playing at centre-back. And I agree with you, Danny, to some extent, that I'd like to see, a centre-half 6 foot and winning things in the air and whatever. But if you look at Chelsea's example, and Chelsea have played this formation to a T, in particular last season, and they were champions because Conte switched to that formation. I genuinely believe that. But they had Azpilicueta playing in there, who's also naturally a fullback and moved into that role. And I think when you have 3 centre-halves, you can get away with having one who's a bit more comfortable on the ball. And often in that formation, your centre-half will be dragged out wide because there's 3 of them. Your wing-backs will get caught further up the pitch, and there will be times where that player will need to move across. And so I don't really have an issue with Monreal playing there. You mentioned about Wenger and, possibly changing the formation. If there's one thing we know about Wenger, he's as stubborn as an old goat. So if he's decided to go with this season, I think he's going to stick it out.
Lee, what do you? Lee's a massive Ramsey fan, isn't you, Lee? You like Ramsey?
Yeah.
I jinxed. I actually take blame for Xhaka being poor this season. Before the Leicester game, I tweeted out that Granit Xhaka will be the supporters' player of the year for 2017-2018. And then about 5 minutes after I tweeted that out, he gave the ball away and Leicester equalised. And I've jinxed him. But I like Xhaka. I can see the good in Xhaka. I can see more good in Xhaka than I can see bad. But what you're saying about this Ramsey Xhaka partnership, Lee? Do you like it, or?
I was just listening to what Danny says. It's interesting because I've watched Wales, and when they've got they played a sort of, they've got Gareth Bale in their side, so they've got to cater for 2 of them.
We don't need Bale. We've got Clichy. Remember that?
Yeah, that's but they've got Allen that plays the sort of holding midfield player. Now, come on, Xhaka's better than him, surely, and we're not going to argue with that or whatever. But it seems that he seems to get around the pitch a little bit more than possibly than Xhaka. I don't know, but I think that I would like to see maybe someone like I don't know, someone like Conte who plays for Chelsea, that sort of player, he gets across the park a lot quicker, and I think that would help Ramsey out a lot more. I would like to see two years ago, Coquelin played for us in that role, and he just played in front of the midfield and played really well for us. And then all of a sudden, his role's been changed for whatever reason. I still can't get my head around why he's now chasing in at centre halves and chasing in full-backs. When he first comes into the team, he was just playing in front of the back 4, and he played it really, really well. And when he got injured against West Brom, was at that game, and everybody's going, "That's it, our season's finished now. We know how long's he going to be out?" And all of a sudden, he's become not good enough for our team. And I can't understand why Wenger's done that, and I just want to see somebody do the job properly, and that is shield the back four, shield the back three, and that's all you do is stay there. If someone's out of position on the right-hand side, you go to the right and cover it. And we don't seem to have that, and I don't think Xhaka has got the legs to do that, and because he hasn't got the legs to do it, it's all Ramsey's fault because he's doing it there. Now, I watched Ramsey for Wales, and Danny's mate will probably tell you the same. Like he can be disciplined. He's been disciplined playing for Wales because, let's face it, Wales have not got technically the better players like Arsenal have got. So why can he be disciplined for Wales and not for us? And then when you go to a game like Chelsea, if you're going to play Xhaka and Ramsey, which I'm sure he's going to do, to be honest, if it was me, I would put El Neni in and, just have a little bit more cover. But he's going to go with that. We'll just say to Ramsey, look, you've got to, be disciplined. Time your runs when it matters. And I'm sure he's an intelligent enough player to do that. But he does seem to be just given a bit of a license to do. At home, I don't see it as a problem, guys. But away from home, I want to see him just sit there. He can and dictate play a little bit better, and not leave Xhaka exposed so much.
Yeah. I'd have to go. I do like it. I think the longer this, hopefully they'll. I think as we progress more into the season, I think you'll see that. I think you'll see this little relationship blossom. If as I say, Ramsey can keep his head and do what he's asked. But I've got to agree with Danny. I would love to see Aaron Ramsey playing in Mesut Ozil's position. I really would.
But then you look at, just if I can jump in, with the judge was saying about Coquelin, it all changed when we changed from playing a 4-5-1, because back then we'd have Ozil drifting around doing whatever we wanted. We'd have Coquelin in the middle next to you. When we were good, it was Santi Cazorla. Like I'm looking at the one where we spanked Chelsea 3-0. Coquelin, your only job is to defend the back two, because you've got your left back being a left back, same with the right. You've got Iwobi and Walcott going, your wingers, go and wing. And you've got Sanchez up front going, just give me the ball and I'll score the goals. So Coquelin didn't have much to do, because that was like almost playing three central midfielders, because Coquelin, Santi and Ozil were doing that. And I think that's what we need. So it's going to have to be a combination of formations. But like Lee was saying, why would, of all the players in the team, why would you get Coquelin to go on, son, off you go upfield? Remember like when Song used to do it? You used to think, well, why Song? No. Put a rope round his waist. You're not going past the halfway line. That's your bloody job. Like when with Bellerin, where he tried the overhead kick when he was the last man back, tried to get rid of the ball. That should have been Coquelin sat there doing that, not Bellerin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if we can all see this, why doesn't Wenger? And you were asking how comes he can do it for Wales? Maybe he believes in the manager for Wales, because I bet the squad, the passion in that squad and the unity, and they're all behind the manager because he's a hell of a manager. And sometimes I look at that Welsh squad and I think, fucking hell, I remember when the England squad used to be like that when I cared about international football, and George Graham would have the Arsenal boys being like that. And maybe in the early days, Wenger would have them going like that, but not anymore. It's always a sign of a desperate manager when you start playing the wrong players in the wrong position and you start moving the formations around. Because I think at times that three at the back isn't working for us. Partly because we've got someone playing there who isn't a centre back, and Harry, you were right with Aska unpronounceable. They're both 5'10", but he's vice captain and he's a lot younger. And as everyone noticed, that Monreal's lost a yard in the last year.
Oh God, yeah. It's very noticeable, especially it's very noticeable this year.
I don't think Monreal's done that bad, though, to be honest.
No, he hasn't. But the point of him losing a yard of pace is clear for all to see.
Not that he's done bad, but Ian Wright was on. Oh, sorry, Harry. Just Ian Wright was talking on one of those new Sky Sports things, and he says what I hated when I was a defender. I think it was him and that twat Chris Sutton. He said what I hated when I was a striker was to come up against big burly centre backs. He said I'd love to have played against someone like Monreal. I'm muting myself now.
I can take that point.
Can I just say, with Monreal, though, I think, to be fair to him, he's played so far this season with absolute crap next to him in terms of centre-halves. He's played with another left-back next to him and Rob Holding in the first game, who I think he's got a big future, but he was piss poor. I think you've got to be a bit fair to Monreal. In terms of the Ramsey thing with Wales, I think it's a bit different because Wales base their game around letting Bale and letting Ramsey play because they're their two-star men. Aaron Ramsey's not the star man at Arsenal. So Aaron Ramsey just fits in that team somewhere where Wenger wants him. He's not the basis of and the focal point of our team. I also think Arsene Wenger switched to three at the back, three centre halves, because he wanted to play Xhaka and Ramsey. And his way of justifying it is, none of them are particularly defensive, but if I play three centre halves, I can accommodate that. Whether rightly or wrongly, a part of me thinks that that's how Wenger's justified it in his own mind.
It's a terrific point. It's a terrific point, Henry, mate. It's a terrific point there when you turn around and say that Ramsey is not the star of where he is with Wales. Well, he is put on the same sort of pedestal as Gareth Bale with Wales. You take. I'll just tell you this now. If Ramsey would have played in that semi-final, they would have beaten Portugal. That's how important he is to Wales. That's how important he is to Wales. But why don't we make him that important with Arsenal then? What I'm saying is we've made this importance to Ozil, and are we getting what we really want out of Ozil in terms of when we go to Chelsea, we've got all this freedom. Are we going to get the same sort of response out of Ozil that we do for Ramsey, say, when he's playing for Wales? That's what we're saying here, And I don't think that we do with Ozil, and that's why a lot of people criticise him, Craig, because at the end of the day, he's got this freedom to do whatever he wants. He hasn't really got to come back. Right, go and do it. Go and express yourself against Chelsea. Go and create. Go and cause mayhem against Chelsea. Well, and come up against Chelsea, he's pushed off the ball and bullied, and you don't see him. Gradually he fades and fades and fades out of the game. So, the perfect thing for it is, and it does wind me up when you sort of try and compare him with Bergkamp. Bergkamp, when he played, he had all the freedom. It was all built around him, but he produced. Not every game, but when it mattered in big games, he produced the little passes. I remember going up to Bolton when Bolton were a real nasty side, and it was a real tight game. He puts a lovely flick through for Ljungberg to come in and score. It was an absolute sublime ball. Now, Ramsey doesn't get those sort of balls that Ljungberg used to. Now, if Ljungberg was in this team now, would he get those little passes? He would do against Brighton and Middlesbrough, but would he get that against Chelsea, Manchester United, Tottenham? That's my argument with Ozil. That's where I want him to go out on Saturday, go through. You look at the old games with Bergkamp against Chelsea when that sublime ball. Do you remember the one when Vieira messed up in the first minute and then Vieira scored about 5 minutes later? Who's the pass from? It's from Bergkamp. I want to see Ozil put someone through in the first couple of minutes, and if it goes to Lacazette, bang, let's see what we can do. And he's got all the freedom, he's got all the tools, the way we set up Ozil to produce it. And I my biggest beef with him, if you like, and I ain't a beef really, is that he doesn't do it in the real big games, and that's let's see if he does it on Saturday. On Sunday.
Well, I think that comes back. Sorry,
Harry, go on.
I think that comes back to what I was saying in the beginning, though. Like you've just said, Lee, it's Ramsey or Ozil. It's not Ramsey and Xhaka that's the issue for me. It's Ramsey or Ozil in that 11 in order to have a balance in that midfield. And like you said, in the home games against the lesser sides, we will get away with it. But I bet you, if we play Chelsea like that on Sunday, we will get beat.
Of course we will, because the proof's in the pudding. Every time we go to one of the big six, we get stuffed. So there's the proof. So he's got to change it somewhere along the line. And I agree with you. He's got to make a decision between Ozil and Ramsey.
But Danny makes a good point as well. Danny makes a good point about Aaron Ramsey respecting his manager, wanting to play for his manager. Because, let's face it, Mesut Ozil seems to be, well, in Arsene Wenger's mind, Mesut Ozil seems to be undroppable.
So if Ozil was out injured for 6 months, who do you think would play in that role, and do you think they'd take it and own it?
Probably knowing Wenger, it'd probably be would it? Or Spinner.
Oh dear, it makes you so angry. I mean, collectively, Wenger knows more about football than we'll ever know. But it's just, why do these things keep happening? And like Judge, you were saying about Bergkamp, a great way to sum up Bergkamp, he made Christopher Wray look world class at times. Does Ozil make anyone up front look world class? I mean, I can understand. I mean, you look at the beginning of not last season, but the season before that. Coming up to Christmas, Mesut Ozil had equalled the record number of, or was approaching the record number of assists for a season, and he'd done it by Christmas, almost equalled it. And for the rest of the season, I think he got 2 or 3 assists. When things go bad, his head goes down, and then he just doesn't want to know because he's playing for Germany, one of the best international teams in the world, and he must look around because I know if when I'm playing, occasionally I'll play FIFA online, and I think those poor fuckers playing around me. I think I played 7 games and I touched the ball 6 times, and then the people like Dan who's playing around me and banging in the goals. He must look at me in midfield or right back or left back or in goal or wherever the hell they put me just to make the numbers up, and must think he's bringing nothing to the team. This is driving me nuts. Get him out. So I've retired.
Danny, can I ask you a question?
Did you actually win Division 1 when you done that charity thing? Did you do it?
Nothing to do with me. No, the only thing I could have done was possibly, I'm good at penalties, but Shredder took the penalty and missed. That could have been my moment of glory. I could have streaked. I could have gone out double pink dildos like that West Ham fan was meant to do that he didn't do. I have gone out on a glory. Yes, Harry.
Yeah, Danny, I just want to ask you a question because you made the point about maybe Ramsey respects his manager at Wales more so. I just want to ask you a question, like, if you was a player, would you respect Chris Coleman more than Arsene Wenger? Because for me, that one's up for debate. I mean, surely Arsene Wenger has achieved far greater things in the game, and if you can't listen to Arsene Wenger, then why on earth would you listen to Chris Coleman?
I don't think it's a respect thing. I think it's a belief thing. Everybody has the utmost respect for Wenger. But when you look at your manager and the day after the FA Cup final, he still hasn't decided whether he's signing a new contract. And look at that summer, we bought 1 player, Petr Cech. Everybody knew we needed 2 or 3 players. And back then, players that would be first team regulars now would have cost us £30 million for world-class players then. Now they're going to cost you £70, £80 million. And Ramsey isn't a stupid bloke. He's no Harry Kane. He's not sitting there eating crayons at half-time. Aaron Ramsey is an intelligent footballer who's good to listen to, and Ramsey must be looking at this thinking, you haven't bought the players that you need. You're playing El Neni and Coquelin, who God bless them. I love. I mean, I don't know why someone hasn't done. Remember when Henrik Larsson was at Celtic? They all had Henrik Larsson wigs. Why haven't we got El Neni wigs? Flogging them outside. Maybe that's one for Gav for She-War. Start flogging El Neni wigs. But Ramsey's an intelligent bloke, and he must see what is going on, and it must make him angry. That's why Ozil and Sanchez are not signing new contracts. And Ramsey has got after this season. That's his last season. Yes, his contract is that he can start. No, he's got 1 more year after the end of this season. 1 more season to go, and then what's going to happen then? Next summer. I mean, this is a whole new kettle of fish to get into, but you look at the players that are going to be out of contract and the amount of rebuilding. What did he do? He brought in 2 players. We could have done without Lacazette. Giroud up front or Sanchez up front this season would have done us. I love Lacazette. Me and Chris, we've had a thing for Lacazette for years, and he's a wonderful player, but Lacazette wasn't what we needed. Yeah, and getting rid. Just imagine if Mustafi would have gone to Inter Milan on loan like it was almost done. What would we have done then? I'd have had to come out of retirement.
Danny, that's a terrific point. I've got to say, I think that as fans, we're frustrated because we feel that we're 1 player short here or 1 player short there. The players must feel that as well. You know, like they must be sitting in there on transfer deadline day, you know, thinking, oh, is he going to do something or not? You know, and you know, what turned it for me, and I've had the utmost respect for Arsene Wenger, but what done it for me, and when I turned on Arsene Wenger, well, I didn't turn on, but decided enough was enough, was when he just bought Cech, and he didn't go and buy an outfield player that year when we had Arteta and Flamini as our 2 main midfield players. And for me, that was it for me. And if I was a player there, I would have probably turned around and said, you know what, I'm never going to win nothing under this manager. Like, you know, nothing like we're never going to win a Champions League, or I'm never going to win the Premier League again. And I do think that these players just slightly have lost a little bit of respect for him, Harry. I think that they have. I think that, you know, you've got someone like, you say, Chris Coleman, that nearly took Wales to a European Championship final because on the belief of telling them that they're these great players. You're this and you're that, Aaron. You're this and you're that, Gareth. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if we give the ball to Aaron and we give the ball to Gareth, we'll win games of football. If we keep it tight at the back, they'll get us a goal because they're these 2 great players. And I feel that there's probably that little belief of Arsene Wenger has gone out the window. I don't think it's a lack of respect. I think it's just, you know, as what we're saying there, it's the lack of belief.
Harry? A lack of belief. Perhaps I worded it wrong. You've got to agree that perhaps the players have lost a bit of belief in Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, look, I want Arsene Wenger out. I've made no secret of that. I want Arsene Wenger out. I've wanted him out for quite some time now. Like we were saying before we went on air, I won't be one of these people that stands in the stands and, shouts at him and abuses him, because I don't think he deserves that. I do think his time's come to an end, and maybe people are starting to lose belief in him. But that group of players are not free from blame. We see plenty of Arsenal capitulations where the players are just as much to blame as Arsene Wenger. And I feel like some of them hide behind Arsene Wenger. Like, I think Ramsey, on his day, is a fantastic player, but he also has horrendous games where he can't string two passes together. And that can be said about the whole team. And I just feel like too much emphasis is put on Arsene Wenger's faults when there's other factors contributing to our downfall. So the board, for me, are a massive problem. I genuinely believe that the reason we didn't bring anyone else in this window was because the board had said to Arsene Wenger, you want to keep Ozil and Sanchez for this season, meaning we're going to lose them for nothing in the summer. So you need to now recuperate some of that money. And that's why we sold Chesney. That's why we sold Chamberlain. That's why we sold Gibbs. And I genuinely believe that. So I think that's a big strain on the club that people don't talk enough about. And I also feel like the players are to blame, and they underperform constantly. And at the end of the day, Arsene Wenger can only do so much. He can only take them up to kick off. And then after that, the ball's in their court. Again,
a good point. And you make a good point there, actually, about, the keeping of Ozil and Sanchez. We all know that the club's being run like a business. So, the business says that, okay, if you want to keep these two, then you're going to have to ship some out and we're going to have to get the money back somehow. Because if you want to keep them, that's how it's got to be. I personally, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, I would have opened the door for Alexis Sanchez if he wanted to go. Go on then, see you later. I've said it once, I've said it again. My old man says to me, if you don't want to play for the Arsenal, in not some certain words, fuck off. Because there'll be someone else come through the door that we will adore, turning things slightly away from a team performance. Get your questions in, lads. I'll be coming to your questions soon. Just tweet me at SameOldAFC and we'll get some questions fired off to the boys. A great 3-0 win, but I think we can all come to the conclusion that yes, it was only Bournemouth. But I agree with Lee. You can only play who's in front of you, and you can only play to that. You can only play what's in front of you. Is what I'm trying to say. But I've already said it. I've done that twice now. Danny, what did you make of the people that booed Alexis Sanchez coming onto the pitch?
The worst thing I ever did was, there's two things. I once told Glenn Hilder to fuck off, which what I actually did is when Glenn Hilder made his debut for Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, I said, will you... I said, Glenn Hilder, you fucking arsehole. I shouted at I think it was Steve Shettle or someone like that. I went, will you get off of Glenn Hilder, you fucking arsehole? So it went, I don't think people heard the first bit, the get off, and people looked at me funny. And I once told Bergkamp to sort his life out because when he was coming up to his first contract renewal, he was playing a bit shit. So I shouted abuse at him, went, oi, sort your fucking life out. He did, and he went on to be our greatest ever player. So I take credit for that. But I have never, ever booed Arsenal. I've been to 406 games. I've only left one early. As Barnet were losing 5-1 to York, and we went. I refused to leave early. I refused to boo the players. I've never booed Wenger. I never would boo Wenger. The only thing to do with Arsenal that I would occasionally boo would be Stan Kroenke. And I think I've once told Gunnosaurus Rex to fuck off when he come up and tried to hug me, because he used to come up to the wheelchair section and try and hug us all. And I go, I know you'll sort, you back off. But no, don't boo the players. You're going to gain nothing. That's the kind of thing you would expect from people who support Chelsea or Man United.
Exactly. And I mean, if Alexis Sanchez did have any bit of, do you know what, I might sign this contract at the end of the season, and then he comes on the pitch to hear boos, he's probably running on and go, actually, do you know what, you can all fuck off, and I'm going to Manchester City for nothing. That would be my take on it anyway. I thought it's absolutely ridiculous People in the crowd booing Alexis Sanchez, and then there's people on Twitter trying to come up with, trying to give us excuses of why they booed him. We booed him because he wants to go to Man City. Yes, he probably does want to go to Man City, but he's in an Arsenal shirt at the moment. So, let's not boo.
We're Arsenal. We're better than that. We don't do that to our players.
I mean, I can remember that the situation with Abue that time. I could nearly cried for the bloke. The poor geezer. You could see the way he came off the pitch. He was ready to burst.
He'd only just come on a sub, hadn't he, for the second half?
Yeah.
Disgraceful.
He had an absolute nightmare. But to boo a player off a pitch or to boo a player onto the pitch, well, I was absolutely flabbergasted. Harry, what did you make of that, mate? What was your...
I was disgusted in it, to be honest. I was disgusted in it. I sit in block 6, and the majority of the boos, I think, came from block 5, which is just to my right, where the sort of red action sort of congregated just there. I just think Alexis Sanchez didn't kick up too much of a fuss this summer, and I think you need to remember that. Felipe Coutinho wanted out of Liverpool and he handed in a transfer request. Virgil van Dijk handed in a transfer request. These players are now left with egg on their faces because they've tried to get out and it's failed. Alexis Sanchez never badmouthed the club once. He never came out and said he wanted to go. He's been completely respectful to Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion. And whether he wants to go or not is down to him, and time will tell what's going to happen. Personally, I think he will go. But I don't think he deserves to be booed, and I don't think it's at all helpful during a game of football, whatever your feelings are.
Absolutely. Lee, what about you, mate? I know you had something to say on this on your video outside the ground. So for those people who didn't see it.
Yeah, I'll still state now. When he come on, and I was booing, I was shocked. I didn't think it was going to happen. But I'm going to be honest. I won't boo him, but I won't sing his name again. Like, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, if they start singing Alexis Sanchez, I won't sing it because the fact of the matter is that he does want to leave. I take the point, and I still say it to this now, that the other guys put in transfer requests because they've got long-term, like 3 or 4 years of left contracts. Sanchez doesn't have to put a transfer request in. All Sanchez has to say is, I'm not going to sign that contract. And that's what he said. He says, I'm not going to sign a contract, but I'm prepared to see out the contract. I'm prepared to stay here this season. So put it really firmly back in Arsenal's court. And the reason that which is a little bit harsh for him to being booed at, is because he ain't doing nothing wrong. That's his prerogative. And what is wrong about it is the club have let it happen. There's no way he should be a player of his calibre and what he's worth should be allowed to go down to 1 year of his contract. It's scandalous. But here we are doing that. And the other thing is about it, which is a little bit harsh on Sanchez, is that he's getting booed, and the other one in Ozil, nothing's being said about him. Like, what I mean? He's getting a free ride, and the fact of the matter is that one can demand a high fee, the other one, and people keep going about with Ozil. Listen, Mesut Ozil next season will have a queue of clubs queuing up for him on a free transfer because of wages and whatever. But at the moment, teams are not prepared to pay 50, 60 million pound for him plus all the wages. They're not prepared to do that, but they are prepared to do that with Sanchez, which that says a lot, but I don't know about how you guys feel about it. I'm gutted that he wants to leave. I'm gutted that he feels, after giving us 3 years of his footballing life and works his absolute socks off every game, that he feels that he's got a better chance of winning the league with another club, and that hurts me. But it's a reality, isn't it?
What I think what hurts me the most is that, again, it goes back to the board, doesn't it? Or the board or Arsene Wenger. The thing that hurts me the most is that people can't see that we should be building the side around Alexis Sanchez, no doubt about it. We should be bringing in these players that would, perhaps perk Ozil up a bit. I could just imagine Mesut Ozil walking into the dressing room after a game. You're all shit, you lot. Do you know what I mean? I'll give you the ball on a plate, and you still can't put it in the goal. Do you know? I don't know. I'm gutted he wants to leave. I think he will leave. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to leave come the end of the season. Harry, you got something you want to say there, mate? Or?
Yeah, I'm gutted he wants to leave as well. But I think, to be honest, I can't think of even the most avid Arsenal fan, I don't think could sit at a table with him now and put a serious argument to him why he should stay. I mean, at the moment, we're going nowhere. We're on the decline. So if you're Alexis Sanchez coming to 29 years, 30 years old, whatever he's going to be, it's very difficult to persuade him to stay. I don't know. I think that the club are to blame for the fact that Alexis wants out, not Alexis. And while he plays for us, we should enjoy it because he's one of the best players we've had in a long time. Yeah. And we should applaud the guy, and he deserves all the respect in the world for, in my opinion, not being one of those arseholes that kicks off all summer and tries to force a move. Whether he wants to leave or not, the fact is he was signed on that contract, and he's going to honour that contract, and he's willing to honour it. If the club turn around in January and decide to sell him for 20-odd million to recuperate some of their investment, that's their prerogative. But I genuinely believe that if he had to stay for the whole season, he would do that, and he would honour the contract. So he doesn't deserve to be disrespected.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I mean, any man, except perhaps a manager, that doesn't leave before a contract. You're dead right. Alexis Sanchez has acted with class through that whole situation. He's still an Arsenal player. Hopefully he will,
And he's also doing, Craig, what the manager done.
Hopefully he'll leave on a high. That's all I'm saying.
And he's also doing what the manager's done. That Arsene Wenger said, I'll see out my contract and see what happens, and so how can you say to a player not to do that when your own manager's done exactly the same thing?
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's a bloody good point.
That's the problem that we're in now, because our manager was, I'll see, I might sign, I might not. So he sent out a message instead of saying, no, I'm sorry, and it's all keeps carrying on, and the mess continues to keep going,
Absolutely. Now, lads, we are going to turn our attentions to you, the viewers. We've got some questions here on Twitter. Remember, if you're new and you're watching us for the first time this evening, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Twitter at the same old AFC. Danny, we'll come to you first. You seem you're having quite the laugh there with Mike, so we'll read out Mike's question. Danny, Mike wants to know, if we don't get a result against Cologne tomorrow, does Arsene Wenger immediately write off the Europa League?
Oh, fuck no. All we have to do is win 3 games, get 9 points, possibly 10, and we've done that. We could not play any of our best 11 and probably get out of that group.
Absolutely.
The Cologne are shit. As the someone referred to it as the Lucas Podolski derby. I prefer to call it the Tony Woodcock derby, because Tony Woodcock was one of my favourite players back in the day, and he was magnificent for England, and he was won the European Cup with Nottingham Forest, and he was a hell of a player. He had wonderful hair as well, and I think he's still over there, and he's a big deal in Germany, much like Kevin Keegan when he went over there. Kids have got no idea what I'm talking about. Might as well be talking about Umpeldirt Hemperdink when he played left back for Bayern Munich. The Cologne have lost all 3 games all season, bottom of the league, no points. But that means that means we're going to go and spank them 3-0. But yeah, Cologne are rubbish.
Okay, Mike. I hope that answers your question. Kevin, let's come to you, mate. Kevin, who's Kevin? Who the fuck's Kevin? Any Kevins in here? No, Kevin. Why I've just said Kevin? Let's come to you. I have no fucking idea whatsoever. Harry.
Kevin, actually.
Yeah, Kevin. Do the lads believe we would have won the 2 titles, 2013 and 14, 2015-16, if we'd have kept Robin van Persie with Sanchez and Ozil playing at the same time?
Not in my opinion, no.
Okay.
Because I've always felt that Arsenal's shortcomings in title races came at the other end of the pitch. I always felt we were defensively fragile, and that was our issue. We weren't able to close out teams when we needed to, rather than it being down to a lack of goals or not enough firepower up front. So personally, great players as they were, I don't think they would have plugged the holes that the team had.
Thanks for your question. Egg Hunter. You do get some great handles on this. This question comes in from Karen. Good evening, Karen. Thanks for your question. Lee, after the first few games, where do the panel think we will finish in the table this season? I'll start that off. I think we will finish 6th. Lee?
5th.
5th. Kevin?
I think we'll finish 4th.
4th. Ooh. Danny, what's your league table, mate? Where are we going to finish in the league?
Top 3 are out the window straight away. Anyone who thinks we're going to finish in the top 3 needs to get the nurse in. They need more medication. It's going to be, I think it depends. I think Sanchez could be let go in January, because the Kroenke will be looking at and going, yeah, there's 20 million quid we can get there, and that's 20 million more sheep he can buy for his fucking ranch the size of the moon. I think if we finish 5th, we'd be doing all right. I think Wenger might be told, look, fuck the league. You're not going to finish top 4. Europa League, win that, which is 15 games. Champions League, then we're in it. Then next summer we'll have Champions League money and we can buy some more players, because even the most deluded Arsenal member of that board must realise next summer we are fucked. We thought this summer was going to be bad. You wait till they go next summer. Look, you've got no Champions League money. You've got no Premier League money. And we've got all these big players leaving. It's going to free up some cash. But yeah, I think 5th or 6th, like those two said. It's not going to be pretty, people. You might need to look away at times. Yeah,
absolutely. Danny will stay with you, and we'll go back down along the line. If you had the choice, this one's from Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. If you had the choice of Roy Keane or Brendan Rodgers to replace Arsene Wenger, what one would you pick?
Roy Keane. Without a shadow of doubt, one of the greatest midfielders in Premier League history, Irish legend, make my mother happy. And he is not. You would not go up to Roy Keane and tell him you're not going to do what he tells you to do. Coquelin wouldn't move from the centre circle spot for the entire game. Just think what he could bring there again. We all said that when Steve Bold come back. You watch these central defenders; they'll be defending like the old days, not closing their eyes and spinning in circles and hoping something works out. So Roy Keane, I love Roy Keane.
What about you, Harry? Roy Keane or Brendan Rodgers?
Roy Keane, because Brendan Rodgers has got all the faults that Arsene Wenger's got. He couldn't set a team up to defend to save his life. So yeah, Roy Keane for me as well.
Roy Keane. Judge?
I can't stand Roy Keane. Don't like Brendan Rodgers that much. Like, no, go on then. Out of the 2, I'd go Roy Keane. Yeah, he would. It'd certainly get them going, wouldn't they?
I'd have to go for Roy Keane as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Living in Cork, famous Cork man that Roy Keane is.
Well, then that's it. Then it's done and dusted, then, isn't it?
County. The prodigal son. Let's go. Thank you, Jerry, for that question. Danny, let's come back to you. Has Theo Walcott got a future at Arsenal?
Yeah, I don't know. We might need the pitch deworming at half time, or the tea might need doing, or the crockery might need what? No, fucking hasn't. What the fuck is he doing at the club? I love him. I mean, you can tell he's losing the plot. He's straightened his hair, and that is never. My mate did that, and he's a gentleman of colour. And when he straightened his hair, I knew he was in trouble because he looked like a twat too. So no. There's not a place in the team, is there? No. Theo Walcott, at a push, is a half-decent winger who can cut in. Always cut in from one side because he hasn't got a left leg, and he's not a striker. He can't play in the hole behind the strikers, and he can't play a right wing back, unlike the Ox, who was the world's greatest right wing back. Do you see the Liverpool right back got injured, got sent off tonight? So that's where the Ox is going to be playing for Liverpool from now on, playing right back. Can't wait.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
Oh no, it's like Jack and Ori.
Harry, what about you, mate? Theo Walcott for you? Any future at all?
I would have said yes, but I think Antonio Conte's introduction of this new formation that everyone seems to have jumped on means the winger is going to be extinct in the Premier League very soon, and so Theo Walcott he's going to struggle to find a place in that team, and he's not got a future as a starting member of the team, but he's got a future as a squad player, I guess.
Squad player, yeah. Lee, judges?
Yeah, same. I think, like, you know, he'll play tomorrow. He'll play against Doncaster, but when it comes to the big games, no. I think on the bench, plan C.
Plan C.
You know you're fucked when you know you're going to get a start against Doncaster.
But yeah, perhaps it's time to move on. This is a question for Mike from Lee, for Lee, and it's quite simply, do you forgive me?
Who's that?
Mike from the Gunners.
No, tell him I fucking don't.
No, Mike, he fucking doesn't, because I know you're watching live, because I can see you having some bants with Danny there. So there you go, Mike. Your answer is no.
I'm still going to get him back. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Do you know, Danny? Do you know Mike?
Yeah, I've done their pod with him. I think twice I did it. Actually, did the end of season one. What people don't know is when he records his show, we record ours on Skype and we don't use video. They record theirs on Skype and do use video. And I saw the amount of alcohol that man consumed. I'm surprised he's only the size he is. He had a bottle of champagne at one point. There's only one of them in the room. Great podcast, though. Him and Andy are
fantastic. Very, very funny. Very funny. Very funny.
I've only been on it once as well. Once.
They need to sort that out sooner rather than later.
Once. This one comes in from Mr. Tom Canton, Mr. Gooner Talk. Good evening, Tom. Where were you the manager? I think that's it. If I was the manager,
you wouldn't think he's a teacher, would you? If he's
He don't teach English.
Come on, Tom, sort it out. And don't be deleting the tweet either. Were you the manager, would you keep the 3-5, if you can't count, at the back versus Chelsea, or revert to our 4, which is, in his opinion, more solid? Lee?
No.
Stay with the 3.
I would stay with the 3 because match Chelsea up. If I'll be honest, we matched them up in the last 2 games. I know Charity Shield's a little bit of a friendly, but in the FA Cup final, I thought we outplayed them for most of that game. So I would stick with that formation. Be a little bit more defensive with midfielders, but no, I'd stay with back 3.
Harry, what about you, mate? Back 3, or in Tom's opinion, Tom thinks we're more solid with a back 4.
I'd stay with a 3, but I'd certainly be telling my wing backs to sit a little bit deeper and be a bit more disciplined. I think, like Lee said, we need to match Chelsea up. And I just feel that if we revert back to a 4 that they've probably not been used to recently in training and stuff, is a bit of a risk to throw out what you've been doing so far this season and revert back to something else.
Danny, would you like to see him go back to the 4? Or?
I'm tempted to say I'd play 2 right wing backs, 2 left wing backs, and 6 central defenders and quit while we were ahead. But I think it's more of a question of who you're going to play in front of them. I think that might be a time to play 3 in central midfield with maybe Xhaka and Coquelin. No, Coquelin, he's injured, isn't he? Coquelin, he's out for 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, so maybe Xhaka and El Neni, and just say, look, do not leave those back defenders alone, because they are going to get ripped a new one. Because the new way Chelsea are playing, they're quicker than they were before. They haven't got that donkey Costa up front. They've got Morata, who is, like Tom would tell you, he's next level brilliant. He is going to ravage every single team in the Premier League this season and do wonders for them. Because he's got pace, he's got skill, he's got goals, he's got everything. Well, a player that, as we all know, we should have bought 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Also, Chelsea. Sorry, guys, looking for a Chelsea fan. That's all right. Who was saying that they've got rid of Matic, and because he was getting a little bit slow, and they've brought in a little bit more pace in their midfield, and they felt that was down to Arsenal exposing that in the FA Cup final.
That Zappa Costa looks like a decent player.
Yeah, he does. He scored a screamer last night and all, didn't he?
Yeah,
Great
so
cross. He admitted it was a cross, didn't he? Unlike Harry Moncane, who went, "No, I went for that."
That's it, yeah.
I don't know what the rest of it was, but that was the gist of it.
Poor old Harry. Poor old Harry, eh?
he's one of our own.
One of their
Yeah.
own. He started his career at Arsenal. He's one of their own.
Like Clive Allen, he can get fucked.
Oh, I can't stand him.
Pair of them. Imagine when Harry Kane finishes and he does what all the shit players do, and they go to Sky Sports or BT. Jesus, you'll have to have subtitles up the entire time.
Subtitles for him, yeah.
Between him and Carragher, they'll need flipping.
Don't get me started on Jamie Carragher. Oh.
I'd love to see you started on Jamie Carragher, as long as you kill him.
Yeah, he does. His voice just goes straight through me. He's probably quite knowledgeable. I just can't listen to him because of his accent. It's just goes straight through me.
Sounds like a constipated duck.
yeah, that would be a good description of it. I've saved this one till last because this one comes in from Mark, and some of you might have some of the people that watched the podcast last week might have seen that he's actually doing the London Marathon. The next London Marathon. He's doing it for a charity for children, visually impaired children. And me and Lee have donated this month's YouTube earnings to him. And so he'll get about 50 quid, I think.
Another way YouTube is going demonetising everyone. You'll owe them money.
That's right. Yeah,
scumbags.
But you know, we don't really.
I'd like to donate Sofa Sports News's YouTube earnings for the month as well to that charity.
Fair play to you, Harry. There you go, Lee. Mark, if you're watching, mate, there's another donation for you. Thank you very much, Harry. That's really, really cool of you.
I'll just give him some of my own money because we ain't fuck all on the podcast. I think the podcast funds at the moment are about minus 17 quid.
Yeah. Well, this is the bit I'm getting. This is the bit I'm getting onto. He's actually putting up for raffle his very own Charlie George signed Arsenal shirt. The way he's doing it, he's got a link on his Twitter feed. Okay, it's his pinned tweet, and you can find him at Marky249. Now, what he's going to do is he is going to sell the raffle tickets for £2 a pop. So you go and click the Just Giving link. When you donate the £2, put your Twitter handle in. Put your name and your Twitter handle in when it asks you for the name of donator. And he will give you, he will allocate you a ticket.
How are you spelling Marky?
Pardon?
How do you spell Marky?
MARKY 249.
Oops, I put IE.
So did I.
Yeah. Marky 249. MARKY. So £2 a pop, lads, for a ticket for your chance to win an authentically signed Charlie George shirt. And not only an authentically signed one, I would imagine a piece of Mark's, personal memorabilia. It's very good of him to put that up. All money going to, of course, the charity of his choice for visually impaired children. So good luck with that, Mark. We'll be supporting you all the way, mate. We donate our channel earnings for the month. Harry has kindly donated his channel earnings for the month. And I hope as many people as possible can help Mark by donating just £2 to help him raise money. Running the London Marathon, rather him than me.
Yeah, I might go down and watch him, Craig.
Yeah. Hope we get down there and watch him.
I should go and bung him a tenner of my own money if I can find his Twitter app. I can't find it.
Thank you, Dan. Very good. And Mark, no need to be painting same old Arsenal podcast on your face, mate. All right, no need to be doing that. No need to be doing that at all. Anyway, so that's Mark's little plug done. If you can support it, lads, £2 for a ticket, and then you never know, you might get yourself a signed.
I've just gone and found it. I've just gone and retweeted it.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's very good of you.
He's doing the hard work. I just pressed a button.
Yeah, well, yeah, I must do a good sell.
I wouldn't even do a marathon when I sit down the whole fucking time, let alone running the whole lot. I'd die. Just looking at it, I can't even bother to get out of bed and watch it. Terrible, isn't it?
No, Mark's question, was We'll start with you, Lee. Do we need to look for a better goalkeeper? Petr Cech. He thinks that Petr Cech is over the hill, and for anyone that cares, I absolutely, positively agree with him. Lee, the judge.
I don't know. You know, sometimes I think that, you know, if you've got a good defence behind you, it does help. You know what I mean? I think I'll have to say this with Petr Cech. Whenever the cross is coming, I feel quite comfortable he's going to come out and claim them. So I'm not saying that he's quite done yet. Like, you know, I think that, you know, he's not. You know, we've got to be looking for something in the future. That's why I thought we should have gone and signed Pickford this season. But I know I'm all right with Petr Cech for another year or so, to be honest.
Harry?
Yeah, I think Petr Cech's seen better days. I think it's fair to say that. I cover a lot of Italian football for Sofa Sports News, and I was particularly disappointed that we sold Wojciech Szczesny. I know he wasn't great in his time at Arsenal, but like Lee said, he had a crap defence in front of him as well, to be fair to the guy. But he did improve at Roma, cut a lot of the errors out of his game, was a lot more calm and calculated. And so I was disappointed to see him go. And I think in the long term, he would have been a better number one, because Petr Cech, for me, has got maximum another season in him, and then he's on his bike.
Yeah, I was gutted, mate, when Szczesny left. Leah, tell you, I talked him up for God knows how many weeks. Talked him up. God, I was rubbing my hands together. Szczesny's coming back. You know, statistically rated the best goalkeeper in Europe last year. Juventus come in for him. I mean, that tells you everything. If Juventus are coming in for him, you know, as an understudy to Buffon, I mean, come on now. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that someone has actually seen that this boy's got some potential. Yes, he made terrible decisions when he was at Arsenal, smoking in the shower. You know, that's a complete lack of respect for the club. It's a complete lack of respect to your players, the manager, you know, whatever. But he went away, he learned more about his craft, and he became a fantastic goalkeeper. And I can't believe we just let him walk out the club. And for how much was it? 10 million?
10 million, yeah.
I mean, goodness me. 10 million.
And the talk in Italy was actually that Gianluigi Buffon was the one who identified him as the goalkeeper that Juve should go and get. I mean, how much of a compliment is that?
Lee, judges, rest my case.
Yeah. Oh, what? Because Buffon says so, right, you know.
Well, he hasn't gone there to sit on the bench either. He played in their 3-0 win at the weekend, and Buffon was on the bench. So,
who played it?
No, Lee, it does mean one thing, and you know what that means? That me and Buffon have got the
same wavelength.
We were on the same wavelength, and that's what it's all about.
Goalkeepers Union. Goalkeepers Union.
That's it. Goalkeepers Union. Danny, let's ask your question. Let's get your answer.
Yeah, well, the pecking order at Arsenal, as you know, is Petr Cech, and then it's going to be David Ospina, Emilio Martinez, who's gone out on loan, then Matt Macey, the 6'12" giant. If you're Petr Cech, you're not going to look at either of those three and think, "Oh, fucking hell, I better watch out." Yeah. If Szczesny would have been at the club, you'd have thought, "Fuck me, watch out," because he is a hell of a player. He was the like you were saying, this is the best goalkeeper in Italy when he was playing for Roma, who I think they finished second in Serie A. And he's a magnificent player. But it was my mate Steve, who lived in Poland, who knows people in the know. You know what that means. He says that he was told that he was refused to come back to Arsenal, and while Jerry Payton, the windmill, was the goalkeeping coach, and that's why Fabianski left to go to Swansea, because he didn't want anything to do with Jerry Payton. Jerry Payton's only there because he did. Arsene Wenger did. The French manager who was at Fulham when he left, he said, "Do us a favour, give him a job." So he gave him a job. He's a terrible, terrible goalkeeping coach, and we should have Bob Wilson and David Seaman and then Laban as goalkeeping coaches. But no, he's a magnificent goalkeeper, and he would be. It's guaranteed that I would say if Szczesny was still at the club, he would be number one by Christmas, because Petr Cech has never turned it on for us. Really, he's been good, but I spoke to someone who is from Czech Republic, and he said, I said, is he a legend over there? And he went, he is, but he's club form for Chelsea. He never matched it when he played for the Czech Republic, and he's never matched it for Arsenal.
Yeah, he's been good. Let's not.
Oh, he's not been terrible.
Yeah,
Bloody hell.
He's not been terrible.
He's been let down by the defenders, but he's getting to that age now where he does need to be pushed a little bit more.
Absolutely, I have to agree with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, lads. Episode 25 is at the end. It has been an absolute pleasure, and it's been an absolute great laugh due to Danny being on, really.
Is that at me or with me?
Yeah, and with, I think. It's been fantastic this evening. Danny, thank you very much for coming on, mate. And
cheers, Dan.
Cheers, pleasure's mine.
Anybody who wants to see more of Danny, you can go and follow the Bergkamp Wonderland on Twitter is it the AFC podcast?
I don't know what we actually own the Bergie podcast. So I don't know why we picked the AFC podcast. There's a moment of panic. I saw it, went, "Oh, can I have that?" And then realised afterwards it's a shit one.
The AFC podcast. Go over and follow them, and also they have a YouTube channel as well where they do the ABW radio show after every game. You can go and check out the lads there talking about the game live, moderated chat box, so you can chat with the lads, take questions.
Loosely moderated.
moderated sometimes. I just made Tom a moderator actually, just for this one. If you come near me, you get a job. Simple as that.
Good old Tom.
Our thanks to Harry from Sofa Sports News. Again, Harry has his own little venture on the go at Sofa Sports News. So please head over and support Harry's channel and Harry's podcast. Harry, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here this evening, mate. Very well, sir.
Yeah. Talks a lot of sense there, Harry. Well done.
Nice to speak to you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you guys as well.
Thank you, mate. Judge. Court is closed. Until next week. So, we'll go for a quick score prediction from everyone just before we go. Arsenal Cologne tomorrow. Lee.
2-0.
Harry.
3-1.
Danny.
4-0.
Yeah, I'm going with Danny. 4-0. I had 4-0 in my head. 4-0. I believe it will be an easy game. And I think I think we'll be too strong all over the pitch for them. And we'll start our Spurs Day night football.
They'll be joining us sooner rather than later. They'll be with us this season.
Well, I don't know, Dan. I'm getting a bit worried now. They've turned over Dortmund this evening. So
I don't know how.
Well, I do. Their goalkeeper. Not the greatest start to watch them win their first game at Wembley, and of course turn over Dortmund. But
they have to happen sooner or later. They've had about 15 there. They've got to win.
Yeah, that's 15 attempts, haven't they? They've got
unlike us, 9 straight.
As a Spurs fan, you've always got to remember that we always have the last laugh most of the time.
Scum.
So yeah, we'll be laughing at you at some point of the season, I'm sure. Remember, lads, if you're new around here, please subscribe. I will try and get this up on SoundCloud, hopefully this evening or tomorrow. That's if SoundCloud have plugged the wires into their potatoes.
They charge for that bollocks.
Oh, mate. I've got a podcast sitting here from 3 weeks ago that I can't get on it. I just cannot upload it. It just will not upload. I tried it twice. It got to 78% and then it stopped.
Yeah.
And then the other one got to 96% and stopped.
Are you using Firefox?
No.
Chrome.
Is that my problem?
No, Firefox would be your problem.
No, Firefox would be the problem. Okay. Well, I will try to get it up. If not, Mike from the Gooners in the USA has actually put me in touch with a podcast host. So if it don't work, I'm going to have to...
Guy's going to try and get it up.
I thought you'd let that go. The judge sees all.
Wait.
I don't miss nothing there. I don't miss nothing.
I've got 3 kids, mate.
Well, okay. So you've got it up 3 times. Well done.
I think this is going places no one needs to know.
We'll continue this off air. Thank you very much, lads, for watching. We'll see you next week. I think we're going to do... Are we going for Wednesday next week, Lee? Or
it's Doncaster next week, isn't it? So we have to go for Tuesday.
Oh, we'll go for Tuesday. So we'll do it. We'll go Tuesday then. Next week of the new time of 7:30. Because my missus
She a podcast widow.
Yeah, no, my missus is complaining. She's missing she's missing the lack of love.
The lack of love at 10 o'clock.
I mean, she can't take a night off.
She's waiting now, Craig. Come on.
No, she's fast asleep. I'm only joking. I'm only trying to make myself feel better. Thank you, lads. Until next week. Up the Arsenal.
Righty, Gooners.